My name is Arthur Shaw, 54 years old. For 17 years, I was the chief investment strategist at Pinnacle Capital Management. I built our entire analytical framework from the ground up, designed the risk assessment models that navigated 2 major recessions, and cultivated a client roster that trusted my judgment implicitly. I'd made them so much money that the partners forgot the intuition and experience behind the numbers, until they decided my intuition was too expensive. I sat across from Rob Sterling, the new managing partner, who'd been with the firm for all of 8 months. He was 45, wore a watch that cost more than my car, and had an MBA from Wharton. He'd been brought in by the board to streamline operations and modernize our approach, which apparently meant cutting the firm's historical memory first. "The severance package is generous," said Sarad from HR, sliding a folder across the polished mahogany table. 6-month salary plus your accrued bonus. We trust you'll find it fair." I nodded, took the folder, and said, "Thank you." "Is that all you have to say?" Rob looked almost disappointed. Maybe he had expected tears, arguments, or legal threats, something to justify this to the board later.
"What would you like me to say? Most people in your position have questions, concerns about their portfolio, their clients." I shrugged. It seems fairly straightforward to me. Rob exchanged a glance with Sarah, who looked equally perplexed by my calm. What they didn't understand was that I wasn't calm. I was resolved. There's a difference. "We'd appreciate your assistance with the transition. The new team will need guidance on the proprietary models, perhaps a consulting arrangement for a few weeks." "I'll consider it," I said, knowing I wouldn't. We shook hands. I cleared my office without a fuss. 17 years of market analysis, client notes, and personal mementos fit into a single cardboard box. I nodded goodbye to a few junior analysts who couldn't meet my eye, terrified their own heads were next on the block. As I walked to my car in the underground garage, my phone buzzed. A text from Michael, the senior trader I'd mentored for a decade. "Art, the place is in chaos. They have no idea what they're doing." I didn't respond.
At home, I sat on my terrace overlooking the city skyline, nursing a scotch. My wife, Clara, placed a hand on my shoulder. "What will you do now?" I shrugged. Something will turn up. What Rob didn't know, what his spreadsheets couldn't possibly quantify, was that I hadn't just built models. I had nurtured deep, personal relationships with our top clients. I knew not just their risk tolerance, but their life goals, their fears about their children's inheritances, their unspoken worries. This wasn't data in a CRM. It was in my head and in the pages of the leather-bound notebooks, now sitting in my box. And I had no intention of transferring that knowledge. I started at Pinnacle when it was a small, scrappy firm called Bryant & Co. The founder, Charles Bryant, hired me away from a Wall Street giant. "He needs someone who sees the story behind the numbers, Art," he told me, "not just someone who crunches them." Over 17 years, I turned Bryant & Co. into Pinnacle. I developed our proprietary Shaw Index, a qualitative overlay to quantitative data that consistently outperformed the market. I handpicked and trained the analytical team. When Charles retired 5 years ago, the firm was sold to a holding company. They kept me on, but things began to change. New blood, new priorities. Algorithmic trading and quarterly fees became the gospel. The warnings came gradually. First, they rejected my proposal to formalize our client relationship management. "Redundant," they said. "The data is all in the system." Then came the consultants. young, bright things from tech startups who talked about machine learning, big data, and disrupting wealth management. They'd listen to my explanations of client psychology with glazed eyes, then recommend automated rebalancing software that would strip the human nuance out of everything.
I pushed back, explaining why a one-size-fits-all algorithm would alienate our core clients. Eventually, I was excluded from the Innovation Task Force meetings. Clara saw it coming. "They're phasing you out, Art. You need to prepare." I brushed her off. "They need me. No one else knows the clients like I do." "That might be the problem," she replied. 6 months ago, they brought in Rob Sterling. He came from a fintech company and immediately started talking about scalability, efficiency, and legacy cost centers. He hired 3 quant jockeys straight out of MIT, had them shadow me, asking pointed questions about my models. I answered, but I knew they were only seeing the math, not the art behind it. The first call came 10 days after my termination. I was in my home library when my phone rang. Robert Sterling. I let it go to voicemail. "Arthur, it's Rob. We're having a situation with the Henderson account. They're furious about the automated rebalancing. The team can't seem to placate them. They're asking for you specifically. Could you give us a call back? It would be a quick consult." I deleted the message. 2 more calls came that day, each more urgent. By evening, Michael texted, "Henderson pulled $50 million. Sterling is having a meltdown."
The next morning, Sarah from HR called. "Arthur, hope you're well. We'd like to formally discuss a consulting role, temporary, of course, to help with some client retention issues. The compensation would be extremely generous." I picked up, "How generous?" $800 an hour, 4-hour minimum." "I'll think about it and get back to you," I said, then hung up. I looked at Clara. They're finding out what strategic reallocation really costs. Over the next week, the calls became desperate. Rob, Sarah, even a board member. 2 more major clients had left, citing a loss of personal touch. The quant models, without my qualitative overlay, were making tone-deaf moves in volatile markets. I didn't respond to any of them. On day 8, an email arrived from Odyssey Capital, a smaller boutique firm known for its principled approach and stellar reputation. The email was from its founder, Eleanor Vance. "Arthur, I heard about your departure from Pinnacle. We've long admired your work from afar. We're looking for a partner to lead our client strategy and build a new values-driven investment framework. Would you be interested in discussing?"
I replied immediately. That evening, my doorbell rang. Rob Sterling stood on my porch, his tie loosened, his usual cocky demeanor gone. "Arthur, I apologize for the intrusion. We have a crisis. The Wilkes family is liquidating their entire portfolio with us. That's over $200 million in assets under management. They won't speak to anyone but you. The board has authorized me to offer you $1,200 an hour, whatever it takes." I thought of the cardboard box in my study. 17 years. I thought of nothing personal. I thought about the client management system they never approved. "I'm sorry to hear about your troubles, Rob," I said quietly, "but I have a meeting tomorrow. Something will turn up." I closed the door on his stunned face. For the first time, I felt a profound sense of peace. Not vengeance. Clarity. The meeting with Eleanor Vance was held at her firm's offices, which felt more like a quiet library than a trading floor. "I've followed your career for years, Arthur," she said, pouring tea. Your Shaw Index is legendary among those who value wisdom over mere computation. That's what I want to build here. Not just returns, but relationships. It requires time, I said.
"Time is the one thing I'm willing to invest heavily in," she replied. She offered me a full partnership, a significant equity stake, and a mandate to build something truly client-centric. Meanwhile, Pinnacle's troubles mounted. Michael kept me updated. 3 more senior staff had quit, the quant models had misfired badly during a market dip, costing clients millions. They'd hired a crisis PR firm. A month after I joined Odyssey, Rob called again, his voice stripped of all its authority. "Arthur, please, it's getting worse. The board is talking about dissolution. We need you back. Name your price, full reinstatement, a seat on the board." "It's not about the price, Rob." "Then what? Revenge? Are you enjoying this?" "No, Rob, I'm not. But you made a business decision. You decided my experience was a legacy cost. Now you're discovering what that experience actually bought you." His voice hardened. "You know, there could be legal ramifications. Proprietary models, non-solicitation clauses. Every model is documented and belongs to Pinnacle, as per my contract. I've taken nothing but my experience, but feel free to have your lawyers contact mine." I hung up.
At Odyssey, I started fresh. We built a new framework, prioritizing deep client understanding over pure algorithmic efficiency. We documented everything, trained everyone. We grew slowly, intentionally. A year later, I received a visit from Michael, my former mentee. He'd left Pinnacle. Over lunch, he told me the full extent of the disaster. "It's worse than anyone knows, Art. They're being sued by 3 major clients for negligence. Rob was let go last week. The holding company is looking to sell the husk of Pinnacle for pennies on the dollar." He hesitated. "And the Henderson family, the Wilks, they heard you're at Odyssey. They've reached out. They want to move their business to you." I spoke with Eleanor. She saw the opportunity not just for assets, but for talent. We hired Michael and another former Pinnacle analyst who shared our philosophy. 6 months after that, Eleanor called me into her office. "I just got off the phone with the holding company," she said. "They're desperate. They've offered to sell us Pinnacle's entire client list and remaining assets for a symbolic sum. They just want out."
I thought about the irony. The clients I'd brought in, the firm I'd built, now being handed back to me. "I'm willing to consider it," I said finally, "on one condition. We do it our way. Fully integrated, fully transparent, no shortcuts." "Agreed," said Eleanor. "We build it to last." As I walked back to my office, I felt no triumph, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing the true value built on integrity and relationships always endures. Sometimes the best response to being undervalued is to simply prove your worth elsewhere and let the results speak for themselves.